Hi, everybody, and welcome to Street Smart Real Estate Wealth. We are here today to share some great things with you. It's been a very newsy week. I want to share with you what's happening in this flipping crazy market. Gosh, I've got so much to share with you. But first, I want to say I hope you had a fantastic Independence Day, July 4th celebration. Yeah, baby. If you love this country like I love this country, my mother taught me to love this country. She came from another country. She came from Scotland. She immigrated to this country as a war bride. Back in the day, you didn't just get accepted into citizenship or you didn't just walk into the country. You actually had to spend 5 years studying about the background and history of this country. And then you had to pass a test. So she became a naturalized citizen of this country, and she taught me to absolutely love this country. So I hope you had a great July 4th, and I hope you had a great celebration with your family for the independence of this country. A few people, a handful, only about 13% of the country at that time actually participated in changing the country. So it just proves how few people can actually cause a great change in a country, and that certainly happened. Well, we had some newsy things happen at our event last week. We had a massive passive income event. I give that training one time per year. It was awesome. We had a huge group online. We had a huge group in the room, and we just had some great breakthroughs for people. And one of the things we did was we were able to celebrate and actually auction Lou Brown off. So I was auctioned off for an evening. They could have their way with me and do anything they wanted. And we just had a super time and honored Nepicure, which Miss Kimberly Queen, which is the daughter of Helga Queen. And she has been suffering with an amazing disease, a very challenging disease for years now, for 7 years, and has been battling it, gone through a kidney transplant, has really spent a whole lot of time in the hospital, recently spent over 30 days in the hospital. And we were so thrilled that Kimberly was able to join us. And we were so thrilled that we could auction off Lou for a great cause, the Nepicure Foundation. And in fact, this check says $10,800, but by the end of the event, we had raised over $16,000. We're so proud and so happy, and so glad I could give myself up for that great. And as you can see, the room joined me in a wonderful prayer for killing off this awful disease that has no cure at this time. So we want to see things like that happen. And definitely, if you'd like to participate, just let us know. We are trying to give as much as we can to that great cause to get rid of and eradicate, because there are a number of young people, particularly this attacks young people, and it's very challenging for them and their families to go through this because it's an ongoing process. It doesn't get fixed and stay fixed, unfortunately. So the next thing I wanted to share with you is wins of the week. And my God, what a blessing this past week has been. Oh, we've had multiple closings, and we've had 3 people join our Path to Home Ownership, meaning not just 3 people joined, we had many more join, but we had 3 people move into homes in this past week. And what a great experience. We had a grandmother and her grandson. He decided that the traditional college was not for him, and so he is in vocational school, and the grandmother is seeing to it that he's on the right path. So they came in and they became at the silver level. That means they paid a minimum of 3.7% for an option to purchase for a 3-year term, a house that we arranged for them. The second family was a husband and wife. and she is actually a biochemist. And she not only has a degree in this country, she also has a degree from Chile. And her husband is a contractor. So we were able to work with them on a home, give them a nice credit towards the purchase of that home for them agreeing to do some or all of the repairs. In fact, all of the repairs that needed to be done. So they earned a $5,000 credit towards the purchase of that very nice home in northeast Atlanta or northwest Atlanta. And then the third family, great story there as well. This was a mother who had moved. In fact, she was on the Section 8 program, which is rental assistance program, and she decided she did not want to renew under that program. She moved in with a friend, rented 2 rooms from him, built up her money. She came into our program and she got a great home in a great area. By saving up her money. So she and her children moved into one of our homes on the south side of Atlanta. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful week for all 3 of those, because all 3 of those came in at the silver level of our program. And we're so proud of them. They all have a 3-year option to purchase, and we're looking to work with their credit, working with them to be able to qualify for a loan sometime in the future. So we're so excited for them. And we had several other things happen too. In fact, I'm going to call this one the greater fool theory. So the reason I'm saying that is because we sold a home on Friday, and this home, let's just say, has seen better days. And we bought it right. We bought it cheap years ago, and we rented it to an elderly lady, and she paid and paid and paid and paid. She was on our path to home ownership, and eventually the house just got into such bad shape in terms of the floors were all rocky and what have you. And she had the thing packed and packed. And we finally decided, look, we don't feel good about you living in this home anymore. So we just encouraged her to find other, which she did. She found another place to go. Then we got in and started working on the house, shoring it up. We put it on our path to home ownership program, and we knew that it was in a re-gentrifying neighborhood. Prices were going crazy in these neighborhoods. Most people were either tearing down the houses or they were taking the house and adding on square footage and what have you. So we knew that the time was ripe and ready for either one of our path to home ownership people that would come in and do all of the work on the property, or that someone would come along. Well, sure enough, a wholesaler came along and bought that house from us for what we wanted for it, for one of our path to home ownership folks. So, sometimes you don't turn down money when they wave it in your face. Well, sure enough, we sold that home. And I got notice from the closing company that they said, now hold on, Lou, there's actually several closings on that home that day. I said, what do you mean there's several closings? I mean, we're selling it to this wholesaler, and I knew that he was going to flip the contract, so to speak, to a new buyer. They said, oh no, that's not what's going on. They said, he has sold it to someone else who sold it to someone else who's actually closing on a loan. And so their new loan is going to pay the one who's paying the other, who's paying the other, who's paying you. I said, son of a gun, this is a crazy market we're in right now, just a crazy market. So I sold the house for $150,000, and the next one sold it for whatever he sold it for, and the final buyer paid $171,000 for it. So that's just a sign of the times. The greater fool theory, maybe. I will tell you that we've seen this before, where houses were just jumping and like crazy, and then all of a sudden, when they cut out the lights, when they pull out the chairs and the music stops on the musical chair in the game, all of a sudden it crashes and burns, and there's no financing and there's nothing that can be available. So You got to know I'm going into my fifth real estate cycle, so I know what to look for. I know what I've seen before, and I just want everybody to be prepared for what's coming. There's definitely going to be an experience where they're going to turn off the lights and cause us to look at things from a different point of view. So I just want you to be aware of that, and I want you to know that there's an opportunity that's around the bend. But in the meantime, there's great opportunity as well. I'm working with several people to get them into homes right now. We're actually finding properties for them. I'm having real estate agents bring me customers, and they're finding the properties for these customers. So these are amazing times, and it matches exactly what I've been teaching for years, that you do have an exit strategy, you do have a plan that can work extremely well if you are aware of what the market is and what the market does. Then you position yourself in such a way that your risk level is the lowest it can possibly be. And right now, I'm advising strongly that people pay attention to their risk, because once this thing changes, boom, it's going to be like they cut out the lights. You're not going to get any warning. It's just going to be all of a sudden one day it's not working. And everybody's going to be looking at everybody saying, wow, I didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo. Well, just know that there is no memo. Know that there is no memo. It just, boom, happens. And once it happens, then we shift into the new market. And you can be guaranteed that what goes up can come down and will come down. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for the opportunities that are definitely coming our way. Now, one of the things I want you to be aware of is this Saturday coming up, I'm going to be doing an all-day training. We call it our Wealth Builder Workshop. Wealth Builder Workshop .online, baby. And for $1, you get Lou for a whole day. I think you're going to love it. I've got a lot of great information. I've done these Wealth Builder workshops before. It's my way of paying forward and giving others some great insights into what we figured out works and what we figured out that doesn't work, and how to navigate, let's just say, choppy, uncharted waters as they come down the pike. And you can be assured that whatever happens this time is not going to be exactly like it happened last time. So I want you to be prepared for that. So I'm giving an all-day training. That's going to be 10 o'clock a.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. On Saturday. And in fact, I'm going to do an extra hour bonus session, happy hour, that we do afterwards. But we want you to really be prepared for what's coming. We want you to see what I did in the last downturn to navigate through that. I've definitely learned some very, very, very valuable lessons, and ones that you need to be aware of as well. So we are going to be talking about how to help you and support you in finding the buyers, and putting yourself in a very safe zone. We're going to talk about wholesaling versus long-term hold, and I'm going to teach you about trusts. That's an amazing concept that most people don't know about, and in fact, most attorneys don't know about it, and a lot of people have heard about it, but they just don't really know what it is. So I'm going to be giving you a bunch of the 30 different benefits of trusts that you cannot get with any other entity. You cannot get it with a corporation, cannot get it with an LLC, cannot get it with a limited partnership. You can only get these benefits with trusts. So I want to encourage you, join me on that one day for $1. Hey, how can you go wrong? And I know that you're going to get a tremendous benefit from being there, because as I've heard from so many folks, and I will tell you, the registrations have been coming in all day like crazy, one right after the other. So definitely get there, because the seats, once they're filled, I will not have another opportunity. In fact, we already are expecting an overflow, and we're going to see what we're going to do about that. But in the meantime, go ahead and get yourself registered for it. And you're assured, once you get registered, you're assured that you will be able to attend, and you will in advance get the downloads that I'm going to provide for you for the event. So pay attention to your emails, because I am going to be sending you a message on that. Now, I want to make sure that I don't go into spam or something like that. So if you don't get your response back from me after you register, just look over in spam, make sure that you get taken care of. And if you, as always, and write this number down, 1-800-578-8580, in case you have any log-on issues or any issues with your with your downloads or anything like that. We want to make sure that you get the advantage of it and the benefit of it. Um, it's just been great to see all the registrations today. They're just still popping it like crazy. So definitely get yourself registered for it. And it's wealthbuilderworkshop.online. Now let's see here. So I talked about
Lou. We had a question, and someone says,
I wanted to open it up for everybody. You guys always this Street Smart program that we're providing for you here on these Tuesdays at 5:00 p.m. is an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. So opening it up to questions is what we're up to. Go ahead, Scott.
So we had a question from Ms. Queen, which I think is an excellent one. She just posted it like a couple seconds ago, so I'm going to put her to the front of the line. Is this the right time to buy? And that was actually something I was thinking about too, because I know a number of people who bought Bitcoin at 30,000 and then it dropped to 5, and then somebody else bought it at like 59.9 and it dropped to 30 something or 25, and of course they're crying all the way down. So is this the right time to be buying houses? Like, are we at the top of the market, or does it matter?
It's a fabulous question, because I had a wonderful conversation with a real estate agent just on Saturday. In fact, I'm going to be talking about this coming Saturday. But we had such a great conversation, and she and her client and I had a conversation by phone, and it turns out her client has $200,000 to put down. I thought it was $100,000, but I went back and read her application. By the way, she's already submitted her application. We've already been able to screen her application, so we know where she stands financially. And the answer is, this is a great time to buy when you have a customer. So imagine that you have a customer with $200,000 to put down, and you can verify their income, and you find that this customer can actually qualify for $1 million home. Now, imagine that you can buy that $1 million home for, say, 7, 8, 900,000. Who cares? Some number below $1 million. I've already explained our business model and explained that, hey, we cannot buy it for one price and sell it for the same price. We do have to have a markup in there. And listen, as long as I've been doing this, nobody has a problem. Nobody has an issue with it. And you are their lifeline. You're their safety net. You're the ability for them to purchase a property and have write-offs that they can use on their tax returns. So it makes perfect sense for them to do it. Well, sure enough, the agent that brought the buyer is now finding a property for me to purchase for the buyer to move into. So just think about that. I'm not worried about this market at all, because the way we do business is different than a traditional real estate investor. Traditional real estate investor goes and finds the property first. They fix it up to their own tastes second, and then they put it on the market and hope they find a buyer that likes their taste and likes the location that they're in. We do it completely different. We go find the buyer first, and then we look at their complete financial situation. Then we go find the property. Those of you who are joining me this weekend on Saturday, in fact, July the 10th, you are going to get a really strong dose of exactly what I just shared, because I'm going to be going through that step by step, and you'll be able to take advantage of that in your own world, because you're going to be shocked and amazed how many customers there are out there that you can serve. You can make a big difference in their lives simply by finding out what they want, how much they can afford, and then going and finding a property for them. So thank you for the question. That's a great one.
Lou, we have a follow-up type of question from Mary Owens. If we have, I'm going to put it up on the screen here. If we have property management company to manage the properties, then how does the money flow?
Well, Mary, you can have a property management company. And in fact, a number of my clients are property managers. So they love our model of management, and they actually offer that to their clients. And they say, we can manage your property the traditional way, which means a rental, and we can collect the rents and take out for our fee, and also take out for property taxes and insurance and your mortgage, and whatever's left over, we send that to you. Now, that's typically how the money flows. And with our model, though, we have boosters in there, profit centers. So like the three I was telling you about earlier, those three people that moved in, well, they paid a minimum of 3.7%. One of the cashier's checks was $11,000. So just imagine that you've from a property management standpoint, you also got a check for $11,000 coming in. And I think a lot of property managers are very, very attracted to our model because it makes perfect sense for them as a manager. They can make a fee on that. And it makes sense for their clients because their clients can make so much more with our model than the traditional rental model. So, Mary, that's how the money flows. And hopefully that answered your question.
I think that was a great answer, Lou. And we have another question from Evie. In Washington State, the real estate market is very hot, and it's been for years now. Yeah, I know exactly what she means. There is a law put into place so people can't do what we used to do. How can we make money like that? People don't give houses away in Washington State. Have you developed any other strategies? What are the best states to do the work that you like to do? I guess that's what on one point too is you don't have to work in your backyard with your system. You could be working in ideal markets even if you're not living in those ideal markets.
Exactly right. Not only can you do that, but a number of our licensees do exactly that, whether it's in another part of their state or any other state, because we don't put restrictions on our licensees, which are certified affordable housing providers. They can be anywhere in the country, and they can offer their services and their benefits anywhere in the country. So it's a really great question about, can you invest in other parts of the country? The answer is yes. Are there more attractive markets? Well, I would say it depends on what you've done locally first, because locally you certainly can find people that can qualify for loans. You can find people that can't qualify for loans. You can find people that have significant down payments, like I was just sharing with you. So certainly finding those folks locally and serving them can work and does work. Now, as far as laws go, let's read the law. Let's see what the law says. It may or may not be possible. And what we found is in states where there's adjustments that we need to make, we make those adjustments, and we can make those adjustments for folks. So we just need to look at what restrictions you would have and then act accordingly. I'm hearing sounds.
Yeah, to follow up on that, Lou, you're in the beginning process of a potential Washington State deal, and you're in Atlanta, Georgia. So I guess if you went over maybe one or two states, you'd be as far away from Washington State as it's possible to be in the continental United States. And but obviously you can't finish that deal, right? Because it's just too far away.
Well, I'm about 5 hours away from there. In fact, where we are. But you're absolutely right. I got referred someone that is in Washington State. We were working on this deal literally last night and this morning. And certainly there is the opportunity to serve them, and they have the ability to put a significant down payment. In fact, their down payment is $100,000. And they have sufficient funds to do a closing and what have you. So definitely, and now guess this is what's so fascinating about the model that I've put together is that the customers that love you will go find the properties and bring them to you. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Now, in that example, with that significant of a down payment, hey, they're going to be getting the deed to the property. They're going to be getting a mortgage on the property. So it's certainly going to fit any laws that I'm aware of. And yes, we can do that in Washington State.
We have a question from Erica. Is it better to flip or hold in today's market? And before you answer that question, we had someone else ask just before, about 10 minutes before her. I'm not sure what a flip is. So can you explain flipping versus holding? And there's
That's a great question. What's a flip? Flip to flip. What's a flip? Well, that's where you are putting a property under contract. You may close on it, but you're going to flip that sale quickly to a new buyer. And your whole game, your whole plan is simply to make that difference between what you put it under contract for and what you sell it to a new buyer. Well, generally that means that you have left some equity, sometimes a very significant amount of equity on the table for the new buyer to enjoy. That's why whoever bought mine flipped it, and then the next person flipped it out to their buyer, because there was enough equity in that deal in that neighborhood for that particular buyer to buy. And I guess their numbers made sense to them, which is great. But that's what a flip is. It's the difference between what you put it under contract for and what you sell it for. Traditionally, that there's enough equity above that for them to make money as well. And so in the flip of is this a good time to flip, or is this time a good time to hold? Well, I'm always looking at every deal with that in mind, because it's a danger that people actually tell the deal what it is instead of telling or instead of letting the deal tell you what it is. The customer, my client, tells them what it is. Well, don't do that. Don't tell the deal what it is. Let the deal tell you what it is. And in my world, that means that a lot of properties that could be flipped could also be held. And holding, to me, is the keys to the kingdom. Now, that house that I sold for $150,000, well, that's not the whole story. Over the years, we collected $900 a month, or whatever the number was, for years and years and years and years on that property. And we only paid, I think, $60,000 for it. And then we held it for years. We received income for years. And then we flipped it for $150,000. But I would have been just as happy if somebody had come in and said, I want to buy this property on your path to home ownership plan, and will you be the bank for me? Because that's what we do for our clients. I would have been just as happy with that as with the flip.
So what you're really saying is that you need to be flexible and adjust to the situations, whether the market is going up, the market is going down, whether you have this, someone wants to buy it off of you in a way that you hadn't really originally planned, because you'd been planning on that 900 for many, many years. And if it continued on, would have been great. So I think that's a really important part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you can hold, you're better off.
Yeah. So Ron says, looking forward to hearing what is new in the business that I need to look out for, and where to put my money to keep it working positively and not let the government get it. Ron, so he's obviously coming on Saturday.
I love Ron. Ron Jacob has been with me for decades. He and his wife, Jane, they are great. They're fantastic. And I love what they've been able to do, because they do exactly what I'm talking about, is to buy it right, buy it cheap, hold on to it, give people an opportunity, because that really is the exit strategy, right? Imagine that you have a business that is actually with an exit strategy built in. So in our world, we offer the path to home ownership to 100% of our clients. And the reason is they are our exit plan. And it's happening. It's happening, my friends. It's amazing. We're seeing people moving up the path to home ownership. They're getting to owner financing, or they're cashing out. I'll be telling a story next week. I just had too many wins of the week to put into this week, but I'll be telling a story next week about an immigrant from Vietnam that just closed on a property that we put them into 3 years ago. And I'll be telling you some numbers and things like that I think you'll be very impressed with. But what's interesting about that is it's all part of our exit strategy. So that property, we could have sold it. We could have paid all the closing costs. We could have paid everything that went with that, and we'd have had that money. But imagine that you got the property, you've held it, you've collected money for years, and now somebody moves on. In fact, the story I'm going to tell you is this guy's going to make did make over $100,000 on this property. So it gives you a good feeling that they made money. It gives you a good feeling that you earned money over time. It gives you a good feeling that you got a bunch of money back that you can reinvest in this new market that we're going into. So the exit strategy built into your business is the keys to the kingdom.
Awesome. So that's the end of our questions. Anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
Well, this is an exciting, amazing time to be in this business. I strongly encourage you to always be ready to learn, always be ready to get new information, always be in the education mode that you are serving yourself and serving your knowledge base. And I'm happy to pay it forward this Saturday. Hopefully you'll join me. Hey, one day for $1 to somebody that's been in the business over 40 years. I promise you, I've got some great things to share with you. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. And we are going to be doing that from 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time until 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So definitely come ready to learn, come ready to take notes. I've got some downloads that you're going to be taking notes on as well. And you just take advantage of it. One day for $1. How can you go wrong?
So we just have one last thing to tell everybody.
Yeah, baby. How